United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty and everlasting God, who presides over all things in heaven and earth, come and preside over these deliberations so that those that make the decisions may be guided by your wisdom.
Amen.
Hey, thank you, Tony. Welcome to the City Council work session, November 26th, 2024. Council has two ordinances on the agenda for second and final reading. Kathy?
We have file of council number 5, which is an ordinance of the city of Wilkes-Barre adopting the mayor's proposed general fund budget.
Questions?
And then file of council number 6, which is an ordinance of the city council of the city of Wilkes-Barre amending file of council number 15 of 2013 entitled Police Civil Service Commission Rules and Regulations for Hiring and Promotion by adding an Appendix A. Any questions?
Questions on those? Comments? Okay, Mayor?
Mayor?
Here somewhere? You're up.
Are you sure? My turn?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Nice suit, Mayor. Thank you. Nice suit. 48 short, if you ever want to borrow it. It is nice. All right. Hi, good evening, council.
Good evening. Mayor? Evening.
Okay, we don't have too many items tonight, but we do have designating Mayor George C. Brown, Controller Tony Thomas as the officials to execute all documents and agreements between the Wilkes-Barre City and the Commonwealth Financing Authority to facilitate and assist in obtaining a statewide local share assessment grant of $189,500 from the Commonwealth Financing Authority to be used for the St. Mary's Antiochian Orthodox renovation project if application is approved. Now, we do have several representatives of St. Mary's Church here today, and if you have any questions, I would invite you to please come up. If anything that you want to say about the project that council would like to hear. Bill,
Great if we get a little synopsis of what the project entails.
Well, thank you for your consideration. It's great to be here. It's a beautiful place.
Your name, sir?
Well,
Can you state your name for the record?
my name's John Moses. I'm the parish council chair. Well, what we're doing down there, we have our building's a little bit dated. It's been built in 1969. Just excuse me. Our parish has been around since 1904. There's about 300 families involved. We serve the community. We do numerous different things as far as the flu shot goes. We were going to host a special needs event, but I think we're a little bit too small for that. But all of that said, what we have is we have some problems on it, an old building, and we raised money. We had a lot of people donate, kick in, do what we had to do, and we find ourselves a little bit short on where we're at. So short in being, we have a roof that needs to be done. We have air conditioning that's been out since May of this year. And, a handicap accessibility ramp. And then, of course, we need consultants to help us do all of this stuff. Well, nevertheless, we are in need of those repairs. We've reached our means that we could, and we come here, humbly ask you if you can consider this or at least put us in that position to be able to afford what we need to do. Now, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to do my best.
Questions, comments? John, what's the address of the church?
905 South Main Street.
Okay.
which is
Has a dome.
the city of- It is in the city of Wilkes-Barre, by the way, right before,
Right on the border.
right on the border. Exactly.
Right. It doesn't get flooded either. During 72, we hosted we were one of the shelters that we took care of a lot of people down there.
Questions from council? We're okay? Good. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Love it.
And once again, I ask your support in securing this so it can go to the next level to Marty Flynn and Eddie Day Pashinsky. So this is a worthwhile project. And as John said, when we were trying to put together some of our special needs projects, the church was one of the first churches to volunteer to help us out. So I thank you for that very much. Okay, I'll move on. There's no other questions. Also, appointing Dave Wilson to the, reappointing Dave Wilson to the Lower South Valley Land Bank. Also, appointing Jeannie Desoy to the Wilkes-Barre Finance Authority. Appointing Tony Thomas to the Wilkes-Barre Finance Authority. Thank you, Tony, for accepting that. And also appointing Tracy Smith. Tracy, thank you also for agreeing to be appointed to that based on council's approval.
Second.
Questions on those? No?
No, none.
Okay, Mayor, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Belisco?
I just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and enjoy your families. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Mr. McClay?
Just, can I get an update on the bank building, on the sale? So we're probably, 60 days past now?
Yes, we're going through the proper paperwork. We're looking at, Councilwoman, probably January.
Okay.
Okay, with the holidays and everything. The last communication, probably shouldn't talk. The last communications that we had with the purchaser is it's definitely going through. I signed the agreement, he signed the agreement, and I believe everybody signed the agreement that has to. Kathy, you signed it. So it's on the go. It's just a matter of probably another month or so, but we're looking at January. He's definitely interested, and this is a project we're all going to be proud of. So I know it's something that Jess, you've been asking for in, time frames. So
Perfect.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
And I'm good. I got nothing else today.
Thank you. Mr. Mirren?
Yes, 3335 Puritan Lane, I see that was out for bid to be demolished. Any updates on that?
Charlie, do you have an update?
Going through the process because it's going to be through community development grant funds, so they have the federal funds.
Okay.
So we submitted a report of no environmental impact. That has to be cleared through.
All right,
So it's going through the funds.
Okay, thank you. And also, I'd like to thank everybody who was at the parade on Saturday. It was a great time, and thank DPW workers who set everything up and did a great job cleaning it up, and hats off to them. That's all I have for today.
Thank you.
Mr. Brooks?
Yes, I'm happy with new trees being planted. I'm happy with the leaf being picked up. My street was amazingly clean, and my whole district was clean. I couldn't find you a street anywhere in the whole district. But what I'm not happy is about these again. This particular record fair happens all the time. It just passed this past Sunday. I actively encourage people in Wilkes-Barre just to remove the sign on the telephone pole that's in front of your house. These are illegal to be there. And I was wondering if we can contact them to, this particular sign is all over the city, these two. Maybe we can figure out how to contact who this place is. But it's one of my pet peeves. Thank you.
One of them.
For years, it's been up there.
Yeah.
I missed that Sunday.
Yeah, you missed it.
Yeah.
You didn't see the signs?
Mr. Thomas, anything to say?
I usually go up there.
Yeah, I as well. It was a great parade. Kids enjoyed it very much, and turned out very well. And the weather did cooperate, so it worked out good. We had a good time there. And I also have the street cleaner vac truck up in our neighborhood as well, and did a lot of streets up in the Parsons area, and they did a nice job. And I know it's not easy picking up those leaves when they're wet, too. I think the vac truck works better when the leaves are dry, as I noticed they had to use a shovel to get them to pick up, but they did a nice job. And that's all that I have.
Well, thank you for your cooperation, too. We reached out and asked you for streets that you felt we should send a leaf truck up to, and with your cooperation, we tried to address the ones. It's ongoing as long as the weather is allowing us to do so. So we're going to keep doing the best we can to keep getting the leaves and picked
You
up.
guys do a good job. Okay, we are going to take a couple minutes here and reset our clock here.
So let's change things around here. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty and everlasting God, who presides over all things in heaven and earth, come and preside over these deliberations, so that those that make the decisions may be guided by your wisdom.
Sir,
By heart.
roll call.
Mr. Belishko?
Here.
Mrs. McClay?
Oh, I'm here.
Almost.
Mr. Mirren? Here. Mr. Brooks?
Here.
Mr. Barrett?
Here.
Also in attendance is Mayor George Brown, Controller Tony Thomas, Administrator Charlie McCormick, Assistant City Attorney Maureen Collins, Assistant City Clerk Tracy Smith, and Administrative Assistant Lisa Sanfilippo. Good evening and welcome to tonight's regular session of council. Please turn off all cell phones. The following are examples of some important council rules. They are not intended to be a complete list. Please adhere as closely as possible to the 5-minute speaker presentation time limit. No persons are allowed to address the council from beyond the rail, except the speaker at the dais who has the floor. The chairperson shall preserve order and decorum and prevent attacks on personalities. The chairperson shall determine all points of order. No persons except city officers or their representatives shall be permitted within the rail during any meeting without the express permission of council. Council kindly asks that the public please vacate the building within 10 minutes after the meeting adjourns. And finally, when the members of administration are speaking, please stand up and speak into the microphone.
Okay. There are several items on the agenda this evening. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak on those particular items before we go into the voting session? Mr. Troy?
Yeah, try to cover the whole list here. I'm Sam Troy, by the way. For those of you who don't know me, I'm sure you all do. Could a question be answered on, I never knew, I have a comment on the budget separately. To see that's the second reading tonight. The Lower South Valley Land Bank. Does anybody explain, I never knew this thing existed. And I wondered how many reps Wilkes-Barre has on that board of directors. Anybody know? Is it just the one person? And what is the overall objective? I mean, I assume it's like other land banks in the sense that it tries to preserve land. Does anybody know? Is that basically the mission of this? I never knew that existed. So I mean, some explanation should be offered. I assume this person, I'm not questioning his credentials, but I assume this person, I guess is not in attendance, has the credentials, the bona fides to be appointed to this. But if he or someone can inform the public as to what the nature of this group is, I would love to know, and I'm sure, I would assume it has something to do with preserving land, and because there is a back mountain land trust, it's, I guess, a similar thing. But I would just like to question, in terms of the LSA grant to the church, I mean, I'm not opposing that renovation project, but I just would like to go on record as saying I advocate expanding. I don't know if this is possible. Maybe Mr. McCormick or somebody could fill me in on this, but can any of these funds be used for residential renovations or residential problems to pay attention to residential problems, or is that out of the realm? Because if it is, you know, I know Wilkes-Barre only acts as a filter for this money to go to these organizations, but by the same token, if a certain amount of money, this LSA money, is available to residences, I think that it's a commendable thing for people to tap into this. And there's a lot of people, a lot of homes, God knows, in the city that need fixing, you know, that need renovation or that have problems with the roofs or siding or windows or whatever. So if there's even a small amount available, does anybody know? Or is any LSA money available for residential purposes? Because so far it's only been given, you know, to Kings and Wilkes and Joe Amato, and, you know, commercial interests, non-commercial interests, certain people who I think don't need it. And then I want to comment finally on the budgets, and I want to stand by, and I only have a couple minutes left, but I want to stand by the points that I made last time. I do not think this is a bare bones budget. I do not think it's a fair budget because and I think I recommend council at least put this on the back burner until some of these issues are resolved. For instance, as I said, the mayor, and I guess it was, what's his name, the budget director, who earns over $100,000 a year. And Charlie, I guess, had a hand in this, putting this budget together. You're banking on $1.8 million increase in earned income taxes. And the last I heard, at least this is the impression I got. That's why we have these sessions, right? For the public to get more informed and to get this out from under the radar. If this Woodbridge deal should fall through, Mayor, or if all these anticipations of yours in terms of an increase in employees or the salary of those employees to earn $1.8 million more in revenue for the city, if that falls through, what's going to happen when you have $1 million hole in the budget? I see the city's taking out $1.8 million? It just happened to be the same figure, I think. In a TAN note, TAN, tax anticipation note, from which I understand the interest is considerable, over $100,000 or something like that. I don't know which bank you're taking it from, but maybe you should look around for another bank. That's a lot of interest. And I could be wrong in that. I mean, I'm not saying I'm... and also in the last... I can't get through everything here in 5 minutes. You're going to think of expanding this, you council members, to allow the public to speak a little more. The Police Service Commission, that ordinance, does that really, I heard through the grapevine that that's going to contain a watered down parameters because nobody could pass this, very few people can pass the Civil Service Commission test as it is, and the standards are going to be watered down. Now, is that true, Mayor? I would like to know. Thank you. If anybody cares to answer.
You would, if you care to.
I'll address it one at a time if you relay what... There's several points.
You had several things there, Sam, so I'll try and take them one at a time. First thing is LSA. No, it's not eligible to individual residents, but as far as helping people to fix their homes, if you recall under my plan, we offered a plan that residents of Wilkes-Barre, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you.
For their primary residence could apply for $7,500 to do anything on their home as long as they're upgrading their home. Sam, 254 residences took advantage of that money. So 254 residences gained $7,500 to put into their house, new roof, new whatever they needed. They need that money for, they were able to use that for. So we did that as part of the American Rescue Plan monies. So we did provide that.
But that's defunct now, right?
What was the second question?
We talked about the land bank.
Yeah, the land bank, the Lower South Valley Land Bank was created roughly a year and a half, 2 years ago. Okay, we have one representation on the land bank. His name is David Wilson, and that's who I'm reappointing with council's approval. Mr. Wilson is a certified licensed architect. Okay, very skilled architect, did a lot of work up in Scranton, and he's very skilled, and I reached out to him and said, would you please be part of this, and he is. He was for the last year or two. He's going to be reappointed hopefully tonight, okay? Very skilled architect. So what was the other one, Bill?
The police commission, the civil service.
Oh, no, it's not a watered down version. We're still doing the same testing procedures that we did before, okay? This is just something that we're able to hire people that are already Act 120 certified, meaning if someone's I'm just using this as an example, not that it will take place, but there might be a policeman that works in Scranton, and they're Act 120 already certified policeman. Kingston, wherever it might be, Hazelton, they're already police officers, and they're Act 120 certified. They already went through all the testing. They went through the cadet training. They can be hired without going through once again, the civil service protocols. So the other thing is we're still accepting, if any of you folks here tonight want to be a cop, we're going to hire 12 more cops. You just go to the clerk's office and get an application, and we're going to be giving the test again. For people that want to, John, you want to be a cop? Anybody that wants to be a cop, you can still apply. We're going to hire 12 more cops, but we're still doing the old way of doing it. This is just another way to make our list larger. And we did last time have over 50 people that applied, okay? And we are in a hiring process. We just sent 3 officers to Cadet Training Academy that are in the academy now. And was there another question, Bill?
I think the budget.
The budget, yeah. Sam, all due respect to you. All due respect. Okay? Now, I want to preface that.
Comes a cut. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Sam, all due respect. The budget that was put together is a fair budget. I don't know what you know about putting together a budget and running a city of over 55,000 people. I know how to put together a budget and run a city, as I've done for the last 5 years, without, and this will be another year, without a tax increase for 6 years in a row. No tax increase to you, Sam, or any other residents. 6 years, 6 budgets, no tax increases. But think about what we have to do that. We have to balance the inflation rate we currently have. We have to look at how do we make sure that we have adequate police protection, adequate fire protection. How do we pay for adequate DPW services that the people get? Not only servicing over 600 streets in the city of Wilkes-Barre, but the other things that those people do, and they do a wonderful job. In my opinion, we have the best police and fire department in the state, and we have a wonderful Teamsters union that provides DPW services, and they pick up garbage. They take care of the streets, and they do a wonderful job. Also, I have to provide the wherewithal to employ a wonderful health department that does an amazing job. There's only 10 health departments in the state of Pennsylvania.
Tell us what they do, Mayor.
Sam,
Mr. Mayor.
you had your time. This is my time, excuse me. Am I right, Bill?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But there's only 10 health departments in the state of Pennsylvania. We're lucky to have one of those 10 health departments. I also have to worry about how do I make sure that I could afford health care coverage. We have almost 280 employees in the city of Wilkes-Barre. I have to worry about how do I provide health care coverage. How do I take care of the 4 unions that have raises coming up in January? Sam, all these things go together into putting together a budget with the expenses I listed, but also the revenue sources. And they equal. And that's why for the 6th year in a row, we have a balanced budget. I know about putting a budget together. I've done this, and I know what the best way to put the budget together is, and I'm hoping City Council will vote again tonight for the 2nd time to pass this budget so we can move on in 2025. So, Sam, all due respect to you, you have every right to be here every meeting and offer your input, and I'm happy to listen to it, and when I can, I'll respond the best I can. But please understand, I know how to put a budget together. I know how to run a city. Okay?
So it was only you? Can I respond to that?
No. No, we're not going to go back.
Ain't fair.
I know.
Ain't fair.
Okay, anybody else on pending legislation? Hi.
My name is Alyssa Fort, and I'm just here to say thank you. Thank you for giving St. Mary's, and there's plenty of representatives here, a chance to come to you for your help. Our church has done spaghetti dinners for the last 32 years serving our community. A few other things that we've done. We've hosted the Wilkes-Barre City Flu Clinic on many occasions. We have, the Italian Americans would come to us pre-COVID, obviously, to hold their meetings. We've had the Veterans Association. The reason why we're here is not to serve our church, but our community. We want to keep those doors open. We want to keep our community coming to us to say, hey, can we borrow your facility for our special needs at Christmas party? Whether or not we can accommodate, that's a different story, but we want you to come to us. We want to come to you. Just a few weeks ago, we had a chance to welcome the mayor to our church, and local dance troops came to perform. We've had local politicians. I can count numerous times Eddie Day Pashinsky has come to spaghetti dinner and just sat down and hung out and chatted with all of us. We're here not as a church, we're here as a community. How can we keep those doors open? How can you help us? How can we keep the public coming in? How can we have Vision come back and provide a homeless shelter for some of the people that need us? Just recently, we've partnered up with Valley Santa and the Salvation Army. So we don't want you to think that it's just our evangelism. It's more than that. It's our community. And we are coming to you, hopefully, with your grace, to keep those doors open. And to say thank you for allowing us all to be here with you tonight. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else on pending legislation? Okay. Kathy?
Okay, so everyone's in agreement, we'll take the consent, the resolutions and the minutes as a consent, right? Okay, so we need a motion and a second on that.
Motion?
Motion by Mr. Mirren,
Second.
second by Mrs. McClay. Mr. Belushko?
Yes.
Mrs. McClay?
Yes.
Mr. Mirren?
Yes.
Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
Mr. Barrett?
Yes.
And we need a motion and a second on file of council number 5, which is for the mayor's proposed general fund budget.
Motion?
Second.
By Mr. Belushko, second by Mr. Brooks. Mr. Belushko?
Yes.
Mrs. McClay?
Yes.
Mr. Mirren?
Yes.
Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
Mr. Barrett?
Yes.
And finally, file of council number 6, which is the ordinance relative to the police civil service rules and regulations. Need a motion and a second.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Barrett,
Second?
second by Mr. Belushko. Mr. Belushko?
Yes.
Mrs. McClay?
Yes.
Mr. Mirren?
Yes.
Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
And Mr. Barrett?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, I just have...
Okay, Mr. Belisco, anything?
Nothing more, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. McClay?
I do, actually. I thought about it afterwards. So, and this actually is your district, Scott Street. It looks like there was a pole that was hit, and they put the wires up, but they're hanging really low by East Thomas. So right after you come up by Turkey Hill,
Yeah.
they're like extremely low.
Pole was severed in half.
Okay.
Had the road blocked off for a while.
Yeah, so when they put the wires back up, I mean, the wires are, I mean, a large truck's gonna probably take those out. I don't know what wires they are, who they belong to, or any of that, but I drove past, so I remember that.
Front of that new house that was put there.
Yes, right there. And then the North Washington Bridge. I know with new congressmen and senators coming in, have we gotten an update on that? Because I know when we went to that meeting at the firehouse, they said demolition would start fall's here and come and gone. So did we get an update? If not, can we get an update?
Yes, I did just get a recent update from Dominic Yanuzzi, who is the engineer in charge, and there's a certain amount of steps we still have to follow.
Okay.
Okay, it's moving along nicely, and one of the things we'll have to do again in the near future is hold another public meeting, Jessica, with the people that will be involved. So we're pushing this as much as we can. It is a federal project,
Yeah.
as we know. It's not a local project. If you can give me $4 million, I'll build it tomorrow for you, but I guess that's not going to happen. But anyway, it's a federal project,
Okay.
and we're pushing it along as much as we can. Any new updates, I'll be happy to send on to the 5 council members.
Great, thank you. That's it.
Okay. Fort Mirren?
Just want to let Charlie know that blinking light that I was talking about the past couple of weeks, that's fixed now. Yeah, miraculously. Right?
Miraculous.
Yeah, it's working now, though. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I have for today.
That's it, right?
Okay, and Mr. Brooks?
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas, anything come to mind?
Just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and a safe holiday.
Thank you. And you reminded me about wires that are down, and this is in your district.
See, look at this, we're sharing.
And I know it was reported, and it's PP&L in front of Intermetro on North Washington Street across from the golf course. There's a pole that's cracked in half and splintered, and it's at about a 45-degree angle, and it's going to come over eventually. I think I sent a photo in, and I know it's not our responsibility, but maybe we could just remind PPL to take a look at this pole. It has one of our lights on it too, and it's hanging down, it's shining back on itself, and it's going to eventually fall on something. So if we could just remind them about that. So thank you for the reminder on that. And that is all that I have. Let's see, Mr. Troy, you're back up again.
Got a couple extra minutes?
Let's start with 5, see where you go.
I get the feeling you don't want to hear me, Bill, or anybody wants to hear me. I don't know why I would get that feeling, but first of all, I would like to commend my friend Tony Brooks for standing up to the loss of the Angle building, the Main and Northampton's project there. Very commendable fact that he stood up to that and announced his opposition to that loss. And I've stood up for historical preservation in my own right and advocated for that. And I feel it's shameful that you or anybody who felt that way didn't have any recourse. Well, I guess all the outlets were trying to save that. I don't know, facade or whatever. And this city, and it's not all during your administration, Mr. Brown, I agree, has a very poor track record for historical preservation. Poor. I would say on the level of 1 to 10, it might be a 2. And you know as well as I do. I don't have to go over the list, but it started with during Mayor Layton's term with the Radnor building being lost there. It goes back even further to the first place they ever burned coal for heat at the corner of Northampton and Washington. There's a list a mile long. The Jewish Community Center, of course, the Hotel Sterling, which seems to be a great place for parking cars, and I understand they're still struggling. There's a meeting tonight to put a parking facility up there. And if that's as far as we can get, I think that's pretty poor. I don't think enough. And you were on council at the time, Mr. Brown. With all due respect, I think more could have been done to save that historical building, his Hotel Sterling. We were lied to by certain people in the George administration about what was going to happen there and the reversionary clause. Well, I can go on and on about that, but that's a shameful loss. But anyway, I would certainly advocate that a historical preservation committee be established, and this city, God forbid, should look at other examples in the area, other municipalities that have very good track records in comparison to Wilkes-Barre, even Kingston and Berwick. And there's a town in Carbon County called Slatington. I urge all of you to go down there and look at that, how they have preserved that area, the buildings in that area. And that, I'm sure they make a lot of money on tourist income because of that. But I want to move on because my time is limited. I just want to address you, Ms. McClaven. With all due respect, you just voted on the budget. I understand your brother and your father work for the city.
My husband and my son.
Oh, wait, I have the floor, okay? Don't you feel that, don't you have any qualms about that? That's a conflict of interest? I asked Tim Henry about this. I don't suppose you have an opinion, right? Ms. Collins being the solicitor, assistant solicitor, that a city council person should be allowed to vote an increase to their father and brother, and not only increase in salary, but in health care coverage. I understand that it's a blanket thing. You could defend yourself if you want, but I'm just saying, if I were on council, I would excuse myself from that. But anyway, I have to move on because, and I'm not necessarily putting you down for that. I just said I wondered if you have any misgivings about it. But Mayor, you didn't answer my question. With all due respect to you, you seem to paraphrase that. I mean, give me that intro every time I say something, but. You never really addressed the question. What happens in this budget that you guys just passed if the city realizes that it's not going to get an increase in income taxes? It's not going to get the increase that we see on here in the emergency tax, which is also something I think should be done away with. Yeah, that hardworking people of Wilkes-Barre should not have to pay that, and the wage tax should be reduced. I keep advocating that. I want to advocate also, in the time I have remaining, saying that the fact that you blame this increase, 11% increase, I think it was, in health care coverage, and the 3.3 to 6% increase for all, as far as I know, almost all city employees, or all of them. I mean, they may deserve it. Everybody, as I said, may deserve it. But I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's moral. I don't think it's good to put that extra burden on taxpayers, many of whom, like me, are struggling. And the fact that you have an increased taxes, that's great. But by the same token, Mayor, I have been advocating for a break for senior citizens and people who are economically disadvantaged to pay property taxes, even if it's just 3 or 5% or something. You have a lousy 1% savings for people who pay their taxes a month early or something, and that's not enough. That should go further. So I think when you found all this money here that you've seen, I'm out of time already. But I'll just finish up in 5 seconds. I just don't think that there's a moral compass with this council that votes to accept this budget as it is. I don't think enough work was put into it to advocate for the consumer and the average city person. City resident, taxpayer, thank you. I snuck those extra 2 minutes anyway.
So Sam, it's my husband and my son. And as you know, council has nothing to do with the contract negotiation. We have no negotiation power when it comes to what they get as a raise, what they don't get as a raise, what they get for health care. That has nothing to do with this. We have no negotiation.
You just voted to increase.
Because they have a contract. They have a contract.
Did you vote to increase their salary or didn't you?
Based
Not
off of
just
their
them,
contract.
I know it's everybody.
But it's based off their contract.
Didn't you abstain?
Do you
Why didn't you
understand
abstain?
how they negotiate? We don't negotiate their contract.
You don't have
That's
anything to do
done-
with the contract?
Mr. Troy,
I don't understand her argument. I'm sorry.
Explained it to you, it's contractual, it's beyond her
It's
control.
contractual.
Our control, we don't control that, okay? Thank you. Anyone else, council? No, okay. Thank you.
What about it, Tony? I just gave you...
Okay, if there is no further business from council, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
I try.
I wouldn't even.
Well, just so he knows, it's my husband and my son.